He's a tough street-fighting lawyer with the highest ratings for honesty and integrity. He's here for you every Saturday morning to answer your legal questions and get you the help you need. You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer, Joe Ingram of Ingram Law, live from the studios of News Radio 105.5 WERC. Call in now, 439-9372. That's 439-9372, and ask Joe your legal question, or email the show at questions@joeingramlaw.com. Joe Ingram has more than 20 years experience fighting for his clients here in the state of Alabama. Joe's focus is criminal defense and family law. You don't have to face your legal issue alone. You've got Joe Ingram, Birmingham's lawyer, on your side. In case of sensitive legal matters, you can always reach out directly to Joe at joeingramlaw.com and arrange for a private consultation. And now, Birmingham's defender of the defenseless, protector of the people, and all-around good guy, Joe Ingram.
All right. You're listening to the live Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, Birmingham's lawyer, WERC. Today is February the 1st, 2025. The weather will be sunny today. Should be a lovely run in about 2 hours from me. It's about 46 degrees outside. The days are getting longer. The nights are getting shorter. We're getting back to the way God intended it to be. We welcome you to join us and listen to the show on iHeartRadio or on my podcast, The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram. This week, we were retained in several cases, both criminal and divorce, and maybe one estate case coming up. We welcome you to be a part of your Saturday routine, have a cup of coffee with us, and enjoy the show. This show is meant to be informative, educational, funny, witty, and hopefully caller-driven with your local interest in mind. You can call the show at 205-439-9372, 205-439-WERC, or you can email the show always at questions@joeingramlaw.com, questions@joeingramlaw.com. If you have a personal or confidential issue that you do not wish to discuss on the air, you can always call our office this week, 205-335-2640, 205-506-5590, or you can look us up on the web, joeingramlaw.com. We'll be glad to discuss any issue you have. If we need to get you in, we'll have a phone call, we'll have a consult, we could even have a Zoom call with you if you need to, if you're out of state. Our show is meant to give you information, to give you a voice, a chance to call in, ask questions, and help in your daily life, to provide quality and valuable information related to criminal and family law issues. We'll discuss any legal issues that you may have. We'll help you get you the help you need from my vast colleague of networks that I've developed over the last 22 years. We've had great feedback. We always enjoy it. Keep sending us those comments. Keep sending us the questions. We're glad to get you the information you need. My practice is solely and almost exclusively family and criminal law in the state of Alabama. But if you need to talk about a car wreck, personal injury case, employment case, worker comp case, breach of contract, landlord-tenant, any of those issues, give us a call. We'll talk to you, see if we can help you. We handle municipal court cases. Those involve DUI, shoplifting, possession of marijuana cases. Those are primarily cases in municipal court. We handle cases all over the state of Alabama, from Huntsville, Birmingham, Montgomery, Tuscaloosa, Mobile, and even the Dothan area. If you have serious money, it's an inside joke. We got one of those cases last week. We've been practicing law in Alabama for 22 years. If I can't help you, we'll point you in the right direction. This week, Legal Lowdown, national and local news. I think the story of the week right now are the two plane crashes this week that happened within 3 days. It's sad. One was in Washington, D.C. this week, and then there was another plane crash last night. Our hearts and prayers go out to all of those people and all those victims. We pray for you. We wish you well. On a side note, one of my best friends yesterday is going to have some heart surgery coming up. Daryl, I wish you well. Get better. We're thinking about you. God loves you. President Trump is making good on all of his promises for federal employees. Go back to work. Take a buyout. Folks, we want them to take a buyout and get off the government dime. Save us some money. Go home. We don't need all these government bureaucrats. Second, 2A. Looked last night. FBI top 10 most wanted list. Arnaldo Jimenez was arrested Thursday in Mexico for allegedly killing his wife. They were married for 48 hours. He killed her. You married her to kill her? Come on. Don't marry her. P. Diddy's back in the news this week. P. Diddy's criminal indictment is now on his second superseding indictment. There are 2 more victims in P. Diddy's case. It's not getting better, folks. It's not getting better for him. There was a federal class action lawsuit against LinkedIn that got dismissed. That's one more for Bill Gates this week. Money buys power. LinkedIn was taking consumer private messages and using an AI platform. The case got dismissed. A lot of people use LinkedIn professionally. A number of cabinet officials for the President Trump were confirmed by the Senate this week. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, Kristi Noem. Congrats to all of you. I sleep better every night knowing that we are in good hands. People are on the wall protecting us, watching us. Senator John Cornyn came out this week. He gave his thumbs up to Tulsi Gabbard. She's well on her way. Oh, by the way, do y'all remember Edward Snowden, the guy that worked for the NSA, gave all the information, then ran to Russia to live with Putin? Snowden put a statement out this week on Twitter, said, Tulsi, you can trash me in your hearing. It's okay. Snowden, someday Putin's going to send you back. You don't serve a purpose anymore. CIA Director John Ratcliffe came out this week. Clapper, Brennan, there was no information of Russian disinformation in the 2016 presidential campaign. Secretary of Defense Hegseth, I love this man. Former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Milley, lost his security detail. He lost his top security clearance, and now we may demote him. How he ever became chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, I will never know. I got some news yesterday from a friend in the military. There's going to be deployments soon. Germany, Taiwan, Turkey, all these military folks better get ready. Deployments are coming. Deployments are coming. Trump is back on the wall. He's protecting the American people. Today's first day of February for baseball. Pitchers and catchers report. Never understood why pitchers and catchers had to show up that early for preseason baseball. Locally in the news, a Hoover man was charged this week under the new Carly Russell Act. If you remember that from the summer 2 years ago, he was in a parking lot, tried to kidnap a woman. He's now in the jail under the new Carly Russell Act. There is a capital murder case in Jefferson County this week related to a shooting at the River Chase Galleria a few years ago. The government or the state is saying it's outright murder. The defense argued that it was self-defense. Both sides gave great closing arguments yesterday. As of 6:25 p.m. last night, the jury did not have a verdict. I guess we'll get a verdict Monday morning. Both sides did a really good job in that case. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, folks. Senator Katie Britt, dun, da, 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 she did it. The first piece of legislation by President Trump enacted into law, the Lincoln-Riley Act. Congratulations to her, Senator Katie Britt. Congratulations to the Congress. Congratulations to the victims and to the Lincoln-Riley family. 4 were indicted in federal court in Birmingham this week related to gun crimes. They're all illegal aliens. President Trump is keeping his words, folks. He's getting people that are illegal aliens, have multiple criminal offenses. He's getting them out of our country. I predicted this the first of the year. The cases are going up. The cases are going up. The chickens are coming home to roost for the next 4 years. Going to make a lot of money in criminal cases. We have 2 great guests today for you. One is about 6:25, 6:30. Mr. Hunter Garnett is a plaintiff injury lawyer in North Alabama. He's going to share his wisdom, his expertise with us. He is making a true difference for clients, and in his community, he has a big heart. We look forward to him sharing his practice and his story with us. At 7:05, we have another great guest. There's a great lawyer in Atlanta, Georgia. He has a niche firm. He helps lawyers like me that when they break up and split over money, he helps them work out the details, kind of like a divorce. Jonathan is both a lawyer and an engineer. He went to Georgia and Georgia Tech. Brilliant man. Cannot wait to talk with Jonathan Hawkins as well about his insights and what he has found in his market. So again, it's about 6:16, 7:16 New York, 12:16 London, Paris 1:16, Beijing 8:16. She's probably having dinner right now, probably having some pork. You're in Tokyo having some really good beef. It is 9 o'clock. All right, so if you have questions, give us a call, 205-439-9372, 205-439-WERC. Questions at joeingramlaw.com, questions at joeingramlaw.com if you have any questions that you would like to discuss with us about the show. So somebody asked me this week, Joe, would you please basically explain uncontested divorce? I need to get a divorce. Can you really break it down, the steps? Yes, sir, I will. Divorce is the end of your marriage, your legally binding marriage. You may have one lawyer draft the documents, a divorce complaint, an answer to the complaint. If they do not have a lawyer on the other side, they have to file a document called Acknowledgement of Non-Representation. Then we draft a divorce agreement, which entails liquidation of property and assets, how we're going to divide everything from personal property, cars, cash, 401ks, IRAs, houses, beach homes, lake homes, family dog. And we draw up an agreement. May have to discuss custody, child support, visitation. When we finally work out the details, you and your spouse come in, sign the papers. We file them with the court, generally speaking, unless there's any issues. The case has to sit in the file for 30 days because sometimes people have buyer's remorse and they change their mind. Happens all the time. I'm not here advocating for divorce to kill marriages. The court knows that too. But after 30 days, if no one objects, in 30 days, the court will grant a divorce decree and you are then divorced. That is the basic lowdown on uncontested divorces. Then there are contested divorces where it may start out ugly. I'm going to file for divorce, leaving my spouse. What do? Well, we'll file a complaint. We'll serve them, see where the case goes from there. That is how a contested divorce case starts. Oh, by the way, Spy for Rent. They have done wonderful work for me this week. Mr. Hammock, Corey, you guys are great. You guys are awesome. Spy for Rent. If you need an investigator to serve papers or do some investigative work for you in your divorce case, Spy for Rent is for you. Other question I got this week. Somebody asked me, Joe, my son was arrested on the side of the road. He got caught speeding. Police walked up, starts asking questions. That's an interrogation, folks. You're in custody the minute they pull you over, and the blue gums hit the blue lights. Sir, how fast were you going? Have no idea. Do you know you're going 75 in a 50? No, sir, I did not. Okay. Officers looking in the car. Do you smoke marijuana? Why would you ask that? Because I can smell it coming from the car. You reek of marijuana. People that smoke a lot of marijuana, you can actually smell it on their breath. They have a different odor in their breath. Can I search your car? Oh, sure, you can search my car. And that's how it starts. Then they find some marijuana. They may find a butt. They may find drug paraphernalia, which could be marijuana papers, seeds, a vapor clip. And now you're looking at a ticket, possession of marijuana, drug paraphernalia. Or you might have your wife's Xanax without a prescription bottle with your name on it. Then you get hit with unlawful possession of a controlled substance. That's how fast a criminal case can start for you from a traffic stop. Hear those stories every day in my practice. It's about 6:21, folks. I hope you're waking up, having your first cup of coffee with us. This is the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, Birmingham's lawyer, just off the campus of UAB. It's about 44 degrees outside. It's going to be a lovely day. You can call the show 205-439-9372, 205-439-WERC. You can email the show, questions@joeingramlaw.com, questions@joeingramlaw.com. If you need to talk to us personally, you can call us 205-335-2640, 205-506-5590. We will talk to you. We will counsel you. We will have a consultation with you. We can even do a Zoom call if you're out of state. All those objectives are available to you if you need us in your time of need. So that gets us where we're headed today. I'd like to tell you a quick story. I love stories. Quick story of the week. We'll call him Bang Bang. Bang Bang was the local connection to a drug ring here about 20-something years ago in Birmingham. Cocaine. Bang Bang. That's not his name. That's not even his nickname. There were about 15 people arrested. Represented Bang Bang. The man in Atlanta was the connection. Bang Bang was the number 3 guy. I didn't do it, wasn't there, had nothing to do with it. Okay, I understand. Yes, sir. We get the video, we get the audio. Bang Bang is the man here in Birmingham. Then he decides to cooperate because they confiscate his 2 Camaros and his Dodge Chargers. They're sitting in the basement of the FBI building a couple blocks over. He says, I'll cooperate. I'll snitch. We go to the FBI building. I've been in a lot of federal interrogation meetings. I've only had this happen 7 times in my career. Used to seeing the FBI, the DEA, the ATF. There's a little difference when an IRS agent is sitting in the room. Their badge is a little bigger. I don't know why. The IRS badge is bigger, and they show it to you. Hello, Mr. Ingram. The IRS here. See my badge? I want you to acknowledge the badge. I thought, this can't be good. And it wasn't good. And they had a map of the compound of the house he lived in. I said, is this your house? Yeah, it's my house. Should have got more money here. I know where this is headed. He was supposed to cooperate. He walked out of a federal grand jury 4 times to testify before the grand jury. U.S. attorney begged him to go back in the room. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He said, I'll take a plea. I'll take one for the team. Mr. Ingram, I ain't cooperating. That's your choice. That's your life. That's your dream. Went to sentencing. He got hammered. He got about 15 years in federal prison. Started crying crocodile tears at the podium. Turns around, looked at me and the U.S. attorney and says, I'll cooperate now. Too late. You're done. We don't need you. Bang, bang. Made a bad decision. That is the federal legal story of the week. Okay. It's 6:25, Saturday morning, February 1st, 2025. New York, 7:25. People are waking up. London, 12:25. Paris, 1:25. Beijing, 8:25. He's having pork right now. Tokyo, they're having the greatest beef on the planet. They're having the greatest beef in Tokyo. So, we've talked about some local news. We've talked about the national news. Everybody in President Trump's cabinet that he has picked are rock stars. Every one of these people are rock stars in their own right. Gabbard, Ratcliffe, Hegseth, RFK Jr., Vice President J.D. Vance. What a team. What an all-star team. How lucky we are that these people sacrifice so much to go to Washington, D.C. for 4 years to live in what is one of the most expensive places on the planet to live for 4 years. And you know you're going to get investigated. You know you're going to have to spend money on attorney fees just to do your job. But these do it because they're patriots and they care about this country. We are so fortunate that people step forward and do that for us every day. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to all our military service people. I've had several I've represented the last month. Thank you if you served in the military and served your country. So few people serve, and it's usually those that come from middle class and lower class families that step forward to protect our nation every day. So thank you for doing that. So we're about to go to break and do traffic and weather, and we will be back. And then we're going to have a guest with us, I believe. And Hunter Garnett is going to share his wisdom and knowledge with us from North Alabama on being a personal injury attorney and how well he has done for his community, how much he cares for his people. I know you're going to enjoy this interview as much as I am. And so we will do that here right after the break. We have another great guest at 7:05, folks. Please stick around. It's going to be a great show. This is a great day. We got through the first month of January. We beat them back. The phone's rung off the hook for 4 weeks. We got a little break at the end of the week. Now we're ready for February. We're fixing to crank up. And then we will, everybody start getting their tax returns. We'll be doing more divorces here off the chart here in the month of February. And then we rock into March. And it'll be spring break before you know it. And then the kiddies will be heading out of school. We'll be back at 6:29, the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, Birmingham's lawyer, the road running, street fighting lawyer for you. We'll be back. Thanks.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer, Joe Ingram. If you need confidential legal help off air, reach out to Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Stay tuned for more. Joe will be right back after this break for news and weather on News Radio 105.5 WERC.
The most up-to-date information.
News of the day.
Tell the American people.
Every hour.
Hour by hour effort here.
Something is said.
He said words matter.
Something is happening.
Some things happened that shouldn't have happened.
Something in our city.
Our city is less safe.
Something in our country.
Something is wrong in this country.
Something in our world.
Every hour.
Check in all day.
Everything, everywhere.
It's always something.
Prepared for anything.
On News Radio 105.5, WERC.
Alabama officials are still in shock after Wednesday's crash at Reagan National. 67 people dead after a Black Hawk Army helicopter collided mid-air with a passenger jet. Governor Ivey says she's used that airport so far 8 times as governor.
Proves that life is so fragile. Yes, we do fly into that airport. We have to just grieve for the families. Great tragedy.
District 21 State Senator Gerald Allen also calls it a tragedy. 3 people on the helicopter and 64 passengers and crew on the American Airlines jet. No survivors. The prospects for a gambling bill may not be good when the state legislature gavels into session Monday. A bitter fight about it last year left the House and supporters leery of addressing the issue without a bill emerging first from the Senate. I'm Charlie O'Brien. And this is Birmingham's news, traffic, and weather station, News Radio 105.5, WERC.
A chilly start, but nice weather expected for this Saturday. We'll have sunshine returning, a high of 63, a few clouds mixing in, a low near 43 tonight. Mostly sunny for Groundhog Day tomorrow, a high of 71. Lows near 45 Monday morning, a high of 72. And most of Tuesday looks dry, another warm day. Highs around 72 degrees, a few showers Tuesday night and on Wednesday. I'm WBRC First Alert Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt on your side.
Right now, it's 46 degrees at Birmingham's news, traffic, and weather station. News Radio 105.5 WERC.
News Radio 105.5, WERC. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your news, music, sports, talk, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer, Joe Ingram. Joe is a 20-year veteran of the Alabama courts, specializing in criminal defense and family law. Call in live with your questions now at 439-9372. That's 439-9372. Or write Joe with your question for the show at questions@joeingramlaw.com. If you need a private legal consultation, email Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Now, welcome back to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram.
All right. It's February 1st, 2025. You're back with The Legal Lowdown. Joe Ingram, Birmingham's lawyer. It's going to be 46 degrees outside, folks. I'm about to go do my 10-mile run. Our guest is here with us, Mr. Hunter Garnett. He is a personal injury attorney up in North Alabama. Hunter, are you here?
Yeah, Joe, I'm here.
Hunter, are you awake and had your coffee yet?
Yeah, I'm about halfway through my first cup and been outside and taking care of horses. So I'm pretty dialed in. I'm doing okay.
Okay. Hunter, thank you for doing this. Hunter, tell our audience a little bit about you personally, professionally, and your practice.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start kind of early on because my early life really did shape who I am. So I grew up on a family farm in Danville, Alabama, which is in western Morgan County. And I loved it. I wanted to be a farmer my whole life, but it just wasn't really in the cards. We were a very, very small farm. So I went to college. I studied ag business and still thought that I might go home and farm, but the Lord kept closing doors and opening other ones. And eventually I got steered to law school. I went to law school at Sanford, Cumberland School of Law in Birmingham. And I was able to go on a full ride. That's really the only reason I went. And then all through law school, to be honest with you, I kind of had a chip on my shoulder because I grew up very blue collar. I come from a working class family. My dad's a lawnmower mechanic. And I had a hard time kind of relating to some of my peers and thinking, how can I apply the law to actually help people? And then the Lord started opening doors, and I got a good job offer with a law firm in Huntsville, a personal injury law firm. I did not want to do personal injury, but it was a job. It was a good job. And I got started, and within a week, I realized that that God had been preparing me my whole life to help people that were victims of bad accidents, because it's the working class man that's involved in bad accidents typically. And that's my people. That's the people that I can talk to. That's the people that I relate to. That's the people that I enjoy spending time with. And so that's how I ended up in the practice that I have now. I started my law firm a little over 3 years ago, and it was just, I learned from some great lawyers, but I wanted to approach cases a little differently, a little more efficiently. And we've grown from just me and one paralegal when I started to now on Wednesday we have a new receptionist starting, and that'll be our 20th team member. So
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And then from a personal standpoint, I'm the oldest of 7. I've got 4 adopted siblings, and so adoption and foster care are very close to my heart, and my family still stays very involved in the foster family. I have married my high school sweetheart, more or less. We met at my 14th birthday party. We've been married almost 10 years. I got our first little boy on the way in June, and she's from my hometown, basically. So we still live right up here in our home community, and she's a medical provider here in Huntsville, and that's pretty much us.
Huntsville is the city of Alabama for the next 30 years. Would you agree?
Yeah, maybe the next 100 years.
Well, yeah. But I mean, the engineering, the arsenal, the new FBI buildings, it's also considered one of the 20th best living cities in the United States right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been number 1, number 2 for the last few years. Yeah, Huntsville's a great town. You know, it's growing so fast. I mean, even I've been up here almost 8 years, and it's changing every year. But you would not, if you hadn't been in Huntsville in 10 years, you would not recognize it. All the new entertainment and restaurants and things like that are coming in. And I tell you, as a business owner, there's some disadvantages because, like, I have an office in Decatur, and I can hire folks in Decatur, even though it's way closer to Huntsville, for 20% less than in downtown Huntsville. I mean, the labor market up here is extremely high. I mean, $20 an hour for an entry-level job is not unheard of up here.
Yeah. Yeah. The divorce market for lawyers up there is insane. Some of my competitors are charging $5 and $5.50 an hour.
Yeah, I know of one lawyer who caters towards his ideal client is the wife of a physician, typically. And he's at he's been at $800 plus an hour for a couple of years now. I mean, it is incredibly expensive. In Huntsville, the entry fee is like $250 for brand new lawyers right out of school. They're charging $250 an hour. Very high.
Yeah.
For a new lawyer.
Yeah. I can see $220. I can see $800 an hour. That's getting close to Washington D.C. rates. That's Abby Lowell, who represented Hunter Biden. Anybody charging $800 an hour?
Yeah. And that's why I love what I do. I don't have to collect money from anybody, right? I hire, other than insurance companies, everybody hires me on a contingency fee. And I heard a contingency fee called one time a poor man's keys to the courthouse. And so that's one of my favorite parts of what I do is I can represent folks from the poorest of the poor to the richest of the rich, and they all pay the same thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you something, Hunter. You've done this 3 years. You've scaled really fast. You're a man on the rise. You're a man of your community. You love horses, God, your country, your family. What's one of your greatest achievements as a lawyer that you've done?
As a lawyer, I'll tell you the cases that come in from my community, from people I grew up with, always mean a little more. It's more fun helping people when they're your kind of people, the people that you can relate to and that you enjoy spending time with and that you would be friends with if they weren't your clients. And so probably my favorite case was for I had 2 best friends growing up in high school. They were 2 Hispanic brothers. And I got real close with them because they worked on my family's farm. I had a little business that they helped me with. And we worked hard every Saturday. I mean, sun up to sundown. And then every weekday when we got out of football, basketball, soccer practice, whatever, we would work. And I got real close with these boys, and they were about the only boys my age that could keep up with me and my grandpa in terms of work ethic. And they treated my grandpa's farm like it was their farm. And so I had a ton of respect for them. We've always stayed close. And their little brother and their mom were in a real bad accident. And realistically, their mom was probably at fault. But their brother had a bad injury, had plates and screws in his wrist, broke his arm, had some loss of feeling in his fingers, and he was training to be a barber. So it was a, real sad situation. And I told them when they came in, does not look good. I'm going to do my best, but this does not look good. And we were able to, in about 9 months, get that case settled for $100,000 for the boy. He was 16 at the time. And I was just so proud. I mean, I'm more proud of that settlement than any of my $1 million plus settlements. I'll give you another one. This is probably number one professional achievement since I started my law firm. Is I had a girl. She was my 4th or 5th hire. Hispanic girl, super sweet, perfectly fluent in Spanish, which is real important in my practice. And she had grown up in a secular household, didn't have a relationship with Christ at all. Might have called herself a cultural Catholic Christian, but she went to a very, very conservative college, Christian college, Church of Christ college, not knowing that it was going to be how different it would be. And so she went there and had a bad experience and became very jaded towards Christianity. And so when she started with me, she described herself to me about 2 months later as anti-religion, okay, which no big deal. Anybody can work with me, regardless of their beliefs. But I do make it very clear that, my faith's important to me, and it's something I'm going to be talking about regularly with clients, with employees, with coworkers, with friends. So she worked for us for about 6 months, and she walked in my office one day and asked what translation of the Bible I read. I was taken aback. I was like, whoa, okay. And so I started talking to her and asking her, and she said she just wanted to start reading the Bible and studying the Bible. There was another girl in the office that they were going to do a lunch kind of Bible study. And so I loaded her up with like all my favorite books, David Platt, Francis Chan, Mark Patterson, a bunch of different stuff. And after she'd been with us for about a year, she got saved, gave her life to the Lord, and she's a very, very devout Christian woman now. She's got a little baby now. Her and her husband are trying for number 2. And without a doubt, that is what I'm most proud of beyond all of the financial success is just pales in comparison,
Yeah. That's a good story. That's a good story, Hunter.
And it's weird. There's a lot of young women that work in my office, and I'm very traditional. I'm not really comfortable like sitting down one-on-one and talking to them about, anything real serious. I try to keep it very light in the office, but, in the office, I try to be just, a good representation of Christ's love. And so I think when they see you on a daily basis, acting in a way that honors God and glorifies his kingdom, that hopefully it makes them start thinking like there's something a little different. And then at the time back then, I had an office manager who was a very, very godly woman, and she was able to do like the one-on-one discipleship with these young ladies. And it's actually something I'm really, really like God that can help disciple some of my team members. But, the Lord will open that door and bring somebody to me on his own terms.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are great. Those are great testimonies, Hunter. They really are.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. What's the worst story you've ever had? Case you ever had, you thought, we're going to win this. This is a slam dunk. Have you had one of those?
Yeah, that's an easy answer for me. Not an easy, it's a hard answer. The case that comes to mind easily. So I was working on a case, really, really, really sad case. A young man, about 29 years old. He's run over. he's a construction worker. He loses his leg. I mean, they try 10 different surgeries to save it, but they can't save it. They amputated about a year later. So he got hit, and we had some theories on what. So let me back up. In personal injury, you have to have three things to have a good case. You got to have severe injuries, you got to have clear liability, and you got to have coverage, okay, insurance coverage. And I cannot tell you, that's something we should talk about later. I've had 100+ cases where you got a severe injury or death, clear liability, and a drunk driver, head-on collision. It's clear who's at fault, but there's no insurance, or there's very, very little insurance. So in this case, we had a theory where we were going to trigger a lot more insurance, but it was a very hard case. And I was the brief writer on it. And so my job was to understand the law. And so we're rocking along. We work the case up. We go to mediation. We get an offer of like $3.5 million. And we think the case is worth $5 or at least $4.5. But I know that it's a hard case. But we turn the offer down. My partners and the client decide to turn the $3.5 million offer down, and we go and we have a hearing to decide whether we're going to be able to proceed with this unique theory, and we lose. Okay, and so we go from a $3.5 million offer to a $100,000 offer, and the order came through at Friday at like 4:30. And I'll just tell you, I was like 27 years old. It's in my second year of practice. And I laid in bed for 2 days and I didn't do anything but read my Bible, pray, and cry. And I mostly just cried because me and the boy had become pretty close friends. We're about the same age. So, and I realized then my lesson, when you have stuff like that, you got to learn something from it. The Lord gives us trials and tribulations for multiple purposes, but one of them is to learn so that we don't make that same mistake again. And I learned then there's cases where I can afford, my law firm, we have a bunch of cases, I can afford to roll the dice. I can afford to squeeze another $1 million out, and if we lose, I can still pay my employees. But my clients usually can't afford to lose their case when we're talking about millions of dollars. And so I think that's something that really, really good trial lawyers lose sight of a little bit. Is there becomes a little bit of an ego. There becomes a little bit of a, hey, this case is about me, and it's not. It's about the client. And if the client is happy with an offer, it's our ethical duty to take that offer and not talk them out of it, to push for a little more.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have this happen a lot? I've had some cases, police brutality cases. You settle, you get to the money, you put it on the table, and they go, "What did you do to earn this? I think you're getting too much money." You ever had anybody go greedy on you at the 12th hour?
Sometimes. It doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen as often as you'd think. Sometimes it depends on, I think it depends on your type of client. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell you this, my marketing is geared towards a very specific client. And it's the kind of people that I can relate to, and they can relate to me really easily. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they just so happen to be not very litigious, not very greedy. Most of my clients are very happy with the outcomes of their case. But whenever that does come up, I can always pull up Alicourt and I can show them, hey, look, here's 370 items that were filed with the court in just your case. I'm getting paid $100 per item or whatever it is, Yeah. So you just kind of got to navigate it. I tell you one thing, we, especially on big cases, we're updating clients so regularly that, they know we're working constantly for 2 or 3 years. And so, they're usually pretty appreciative.
That's good. That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter, for the audience, when they upload the podcast on iHeartRadio or the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram Live, how can they find you, Hunter?
Well, I'm pretty easy to find on Google. If you Google Hunter Garnett, I pop right up. If you Google Huntsville car accident lawyer, we're usually towards the top of that list. But my website's huntsvilleinjurylawyers.com, and our phone number is 256-539-8686. we're also, we're on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. My personal Facebook's real easy to find. And we're super responsive. So like when folks reach out, we're typically getting back to them same day, sometimes within 2 or 3 minutes, especially if it's a good case. I'll drop what I'm doing and hop on the phone with them immediately.
Yeah, I get it. All right. So we've had a lovely interview at 6:51 in the morning with Hunter. How many horses you got, Hunter?
I got 4 horses, and then I got a couple ponies. One of them I've actually had for since I was a little boy. He's getting way up in his years. I'm looking at him right now. And I don't know what our time limit is, but I do have a few things just for the public, just to
absolutely
run through quickly for to help them prepare. So one thing, I would say, if you don't remember anything from this interview, look at your insurance declaration page. Okay, ask your agent for it, and look at your underinsured and uninsured motorist coverage. Okay, 1 in 7 drivers in Alabama doesn't have any auto insurance, and then another about 30-40% only have the bare minimum, which is $25,000 per person, $25,000 for the property damage. So your uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage kicks in if you're in a bad wreck and the other driver doesn't have insurance or doesn't have enough insurance. It'll cover your medical bills, your lost income, your pain and suffering, your mental anguish, everything across the board. And I recommend that your uninsured motorist coverage match the amount of your liability coverage. So if you've got $100,000 in liability coverage, you should have $100,000 in underinsured motorist coverage. A few of the good insurers, I still like Alpha. I'm with Alpha. Nationwide, Travelers is excellent. If I was going to move, I would go to Travelers. Cincinnati's good. The ones to avoid are State Farm, Allstate, Progressive. The really big ones, they don't treat you the same as the smaller ones that focus on customer service and taking care of their insureds. Another thing I'm seeing a big trend of, and I like it, is more dash cams. You can get a dash cam for your car for $20 to $50, and that's good money. That's a good investment to have. Let's see, a couple things. Folks should always at least consult with a lawyer. Most lawyers will give a free little 10-minute phone call. I know I will. I take 5 or 10 a week, just giving people free advice on, hey, here's what you do after your accident, even if you're at fault. And folks should also know they can settle their property damage and not settle their bodily injury. A lot of insurance companies will put pressure on you. Hey, we want to pay you for your car. Let's just go ahead and give you an extra $1,000 for your bodily injury. Don't do that if you're still having any problems at all.
No.
Patience is key when it comes to a bodily injury case. I got a call yesterday from a real nice young guy. He's 27. I've been representing him about 6 months, and he just now got a diagnosis on his elbow, figuring out what's wrong with him. And if he's wanted to settle his case the whole time he's hired me, and I've been telling him, let's wait and see. Let's make sure you get better. And, well, here we are 6 months later. He's not getting better. And so he's got a case that's much more valuable than if we had settled it, the first month. That's most of what I wanted to cover. When it comes to hiring a lawyer, folks should just do the research. I'm not the right lawyer for everybody. You should, find somebody that you can relate to, find somebody that's responsive, find somebody that has good reviews, find somebody that your friends or family would recommend to you. And if you can't find a personal injury lawyer yourself, ask any lawyer you know, and they will normally have somebody in their network that they can hand you over to that they trust.
Yeah, that's good advice. Okay, so we're about to go to break here. We've had Hunter Garnett. Hunter, thank you for waking up and sharing your story, your faith, your testimony, and your practice. Thank you for doing this, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me. Have a good weekend.
All right, thank you, sir. That was Hunter Garnett, plaintiff attorney, personal injury attorney up in North Alabama, Huntsville. He's got 2 offices. That is a man to watch in Alabama. Personally and professionally, he's going to do great things. And we were so fortunate to get to have him do this with us this morning. We were very fortunate to have that. We're going to go to break here in about 2 minutes. 6:55. if you're having your first cup of coffee. This is the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, Birmingham's lawyer, the road-running street lawyer here for you. Got about another hour and 10 minutes, then I get to go do my run. New York, 7:55, London, 12:56, Paris, 1:56, Beijing, 8:56. Eating his pork bellies. Tokyo, greatest beef on the planet. Daryl, if you're up, I'm thinking about you. You're going to get better. You're going to get healthy. And I'm glad you're going to get fixed. Our prayers are with you, sir. You're a good man. You're a godly man. About to go to break. Traffic and weather. We'll be back at the top of the hour at 7:05 with Jonathan Hawkins, great lawyer, niche firm from Georgia. I think they are in Buckhead, God's country. It's where we run the Peachtree Road Race every summer on the 4th of July. He is both an engineer and a lawyer. Went to Georgia, Georgia Tech. Third generation engineer, second generation lawyer. We'll be back. Legal Lowdown Live, Joe Ingram, WERC. We'll be back, folks. Thanks. Bye.
There's another hour of the Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer Joe Ingram heading your way. You can ask your question live on the air at 439-9372. That's 439-9372. Or send Joe your question for air via email at questions@ingramlaw.com. If you need a private legal consultation, contact Joe directly at joeingramlaw.com. Stand by for more of the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram right after news and weather on News Radio 105.5 WERC.
The proceeding has been a paid program. The opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of WERC, management, employees, or advertisers.
News Radio 105.5 WERC.
Tree problems in your yard? Contact the pros at monstertreeservice.com.
This is what's happening.
We are in mourning. This is really shaking a lot of people.
The very latest.
Incompetence might have played a role. We'll let you know that.
At the top and 30 past the hour.
I understand how critical our national security
Apparently
is.
you don't.
Stay current.
Every FBI employee will be held to the absolute same standard.
Check in often.
Sounds to me like we need to get some new conspiracy theories because all the old ones turned out to be true.
News Radio 105.5 WERC.
Securing America.
This week, the Senate Armed Services Committee held a hearing on reforming the process of defense innovation and acquisition. Rhode Island Democrat Jack Reed summed up the challenge this way.
Time and time again, we have heard the system is too slow, too rigid, and too outdated to keep pace with the changing world.
While Mississippi Republican Roger Wicker expressed urgency.
We must change the way the Pentagon does business. Otherwise, there's no way we can maintain deterrence, particularly against China.
Witness Shyam Sankar, the chief technology officer at Palantir Technologies, testified that the way defense contractors work also needs to change.
They resemble state-owned enterprises instead of the innovative, founder-driven companies that they once were.
He says the key to improvement is increasing competition, while Senator Wicker reminded the hearing the U.S. must maintain peace through strength. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
News Radio 105.5 WERC Birmingham, WERC FM Hoover, and available everywhere with the iHeartRadio app. It's 7 o'clock.
The legislative session begins next week in Montgomery. Jim Faraday with more.
Governor Kay Ivey will deliver the State of the State address. Republican former state representative Paul DeMarco.
She's going to lay out her priorities and her agenda.
DeMarco says the governor is expected to focus on two issues in particular.
She's already talked about education as well as public safety as two of those issues that she will want lawmakers to address.
Governor Ivey says a safe Alabama is a secure future for Alabama. She says this year we will take bold steps to protect our communities, strengthen our future, and ensure our state remains the best place to live, work, and raise a family. I'm Jim Faraday.
Lawyers for Alabama death row inmate Demetrius Frazier are making a last-ditch effort to save his life. They're appealing to Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer to demand his return to Michigan before Alabama kills him. The 52-year-old Frazier is set to die by inhaling pure nitrogen between midnight February 6th and 6 a.m. February 7th. A retired Huntsville professional ice skater is mourning the crash Wednesday at Reagan National in Virginia. The victims include 14 ice skaters. Retired skater Wesley Campbell tells News 48 he knows 2 of them.
We start to realize how valuable every moment is, and to mourn and grieve appropriately, but also enjoy our lives while they're happening.
Campbell says members of the ice skating community are supporting each other after the mid-air collision between a Black Hawk helicopter and an American Airlines passenger jet. Montgomery gets rid of a billboard with a Bloody Sunday civil rights picture and the legend, "Make America Great Again." The advertiser seems to be the Montgomery Museum of Fine Arts. The museum says museum leadership did not okay the billboard, but is silent on what happened. I'm Charlie O'Brien, and this is Birmingham's news, traffic, and weather station, News Radio 105.5, WERC.
A chilly start, but nice weather expected for this Saturday. We'll have sunshine returning, a high of 63, a few clouds mixing in, a low near 43 tonight. Mostly sunny for Groundhog Day tomorrow, a high of 71. Lows near 45 Monday morning, a high of 72. And most of Tuesday looks dry, another warm day. Highs around 72 degrees, a few showers Tuesday night and on Wednesday. I'm WBRC First Alert Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt on your side.
Right now, it's 46 degrees at Birmingham's news, traffic, and weather station, News Radio 105.5 WERC.
Removing DEI inside the Pentagon, reinstating troops who were pushed out because of COVID mandates, Iron Dome for America.
This is the sound.
We are going to restore law and order
of America returning to factory settings.
We're tracking down the illegal alien criminals. We are throwing them the hell out of our country. We have no apologies. They're very dangerous people.
And there's a lot to talk about.
President Trump will have a heavy hand, and we will support him on that regardless of who stands up against him.
News Radio 105.5 WERC.
The following is a paid program. The opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of WERC, management, employees, or advertisers.
He's a tough street-fighting lawyer with the highest ratings for honesty and integrity. He's here for you every Saturday morning to answer your legal questions and get you the help you need. You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer, Joe Ingram of Ingram Law, live from the studios of News Radio 105.5 WERC. Call in now, 439-9372. That's 439-9372, and ask Joe your legal question, or email the show at questions@joeingramlaw.com. Joe Ingram has more than 20 years experience fighting for his clients here in the state of Alabama. Joe's focus is criminal defense and family law. You don't have to face your legal issue alone. You've got Joe Ingram, Birmingham's lawyer, on your side. In case of sensitive legal matters, you can always reach out directly to Joe at joeingramlaw.com and arrange for a private consultation. And now, Birmingham's defender of the defenseless, protector of the people, and all-around good guy, Joe Ingram.
All right. We're back. It's February 1st, 2025. This is the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, Birmingham's lawyer, the road running street lawyer, here for you at 7:06. We're going to go straight to our next professional guest, Jonathan Hawkins. His firm is Law Firm GC. Business Lawyers for Lawyers. He's in God's country, Atlanta. Jonathan, you with us?
I'm here. How you doing, Joe?
Jonathan, how are you?
I'm good.
You awake?
I'm good. I am. It's not quite as early here as it is there.
Yeah, you're an hour ahead of me. You're an hour. Jonathan, you are a third-generation engineer from Georgia Tech, second-generation lawyer, and you were the managing editor of the Georgia Law Review.
That's right. And I grew up in Mobile, which is, not too far from you, I guess.
Grew up in Mobile. Yep. So, Jonathan, this is my show. I was on your podcast, but yours is much more professional than mine. Tell us about your market. Tell us a little about you personally and professionally.
Sure. So, our firm, we represent primarily lawyers and law firms and their business and ethics issues. So I get to see a lot of different types of lawyers, different types of law firms in what I do, primarily in Atlanta, but, we do stuff around the country as well. And been here, started my firm maybe 7 years ago. Actually, today, 7 years ago today.
Congratulations.
And it's been fun. So,
okay.
What else you need to know?
I don't know, Jonathan. You're a professional at this. How many lawyers do you have working for you now? You've added one or two more.
Yeah, so we added actually 3 last year, so we're at 6 total, counting me. And looking to add a couple more hopefully this year. We're looking to grow, and like I said, so we're based in Atlanta, but our goal is really to create a national platform for lawyers, really to represent lawyers everywhere. So that's our vision and our goal, and we're obviously I'd like to be there sooner rather than later, but these sorts of things take time, so that's what we're working towards.
Well, consistency beats perfection every day. Consistency, consistency, consistency.
And I try to do a little every day. You know how it works, right? How about you? So I'm curious. I think you told me you're adding a lawyer here, or have maybe. Is that happening, or has it happened?
I have one gentleman that's going to start here in the next week or two. Very, very fortunate. I got a very good lawyer. He's practiced as long as me. We went to law school together. You surround yourself with good people and you'll go far. And so I'm very blessed. So thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. It's, you can have the best technology and systems and all the stuff, but if you don't have the right people, it can all fall apart. And every day I realize that more and more and more.
Yeah. And we have another young lady in law school that is going to join us soon from Alabama. So I'll have 2 this year that I told you I was going to get. And I need some more staff people, Jonathan. The phones are ringing off the hook. We're looking for intake specialists. It's getting kind of dire. The phones are ringing. The people are going crazy. People are jumping out the windows. So,
well, that's a good problem to have, right?
Well, yes and no. Judge was on last week, and Judge said, "Joe, those are Class B problems. Those are not Class A problems." I said, "Yeah, I agree with that." So,
yeah.
Tell the Birmingham market. You have a niche market, and this is really important because this happened to me 12 years ago with my 2 best friends. You've seen all these scenarios. Tee up a typical scenario of what happens and why you're so critical on the forefront.
So most lawyers come to me. There's really 2 main reasons they come to me to begin with. And a third, we could talk about a third that's sort of growing, but this whole practice of mine started, I grew up as a business litigator doing business divorce work. So, closely held businesses breaking apart. Then I started doing law firm breakups. And so, which can be even nastier, you can imagine. And so these lawyers came to me and, sometimes they had written partnership agreements and many times they did not. But even the ones that did, a lot of times they were not really drafted or built for the issues that we were dealing with in the breakups. So that led me to start drafting partnership agreements to help avoid or minimize all the fights we were having on the back end. So, currently people come to me, lawyers, primarily for two things, and that's, they're breaking apart or somebody's leaving, or it's on the front end and they want to structure and draft their partnership agreement with each other. And this is sort of my busy season. It really starts in the fall when people are thinking about starting new partnerships or starting to think about leaving their firm. And so those people call me in the fall sort of to help make sure they're doing it the right way and they don't do anything wrong. And then after the beginning of the year, they start announcing and firms start hearing about people leaving. So then I start getting calls on the other end of it. And then if they can't resolve it amicably, then it can turn into, a fight. So that's sort of where I am in the season right now. It's helping people hopefully avoid a nasty fight. So,
yeah, there's, it's kind of like divorces. There's not a nastier fight in the world than two lawyers fighting over a nickel. Yeah.
And they know the law and they know how the system works and they have big egos a lot of times. And, now on the other hand, sometimes, they know it well, they know it can be very costly. So they all realize, hey, we may just have to hold our nose and cut a deal that we don't like just to avoid all the nastiness and on the back end. So we get that too.
And they don't want it out in town a lot, and either in the legal community or just the community at large. So they just cut and run sometimes, I guess.
That's true. I mean, the last thing you want, I think, is to have your fight in front of all the one of the judges that you're in front of every day. You got to all of a sudden put your fight in front of them. And then, the judges will talk. It's in the open. It's just, it's not something you want out there. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but if you can avoid it.
Are all these, I would imagine all these are private pay cases. Yes, no?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And a lot of them are in arbitration too. So you can't avoid the public eye a little bit, but yeah. So private pay, and then you're paying an arbitrator.
So you're paying 3 lawyers an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man. Do you have any cases in Alabama?
I don't at the moment, no. And I'll tell you, how did I get into this niche? I'll tell you the story. So, my dad is largely retired. He was a lawyer down in Mobile, and he had done a number of these law firm breakup cases years ago. And we were talking, and he said, I've done a bunch of these in the last couple of years down here in Mobile. And he's like, you're in Atlanta. That's way bigger. There's got to be a ton of these things going on. You should just look into it. And so I just started looking around, and there was a lot going on, and there was no real lawyer here in town that had sort of staked their claim as, hey, this is what we do. Obviously, there were lawyers that did it, but nobody just said this is all we do. So I learned it and started telling people, and that's how it started.
That's really good. You go find a new market, you become an expert in the market, and then you become the market.
Yeah. And it's, we met on LinkedIn. And so, I post a lot out there, and, I get calls from around the country now, people going through the same stuff. So
yeah,
it's interesting how that works.
Yeah. LinkedIn is great because, we can talk to people all over the country, and we share, and we generally help each other. You've helped me professionally. Thank you for all you've done for me. And your podcast, you have 4 or 5 inventory backup, so you're always ready to go.
Well, I try, the podcast, it's, you do this show. It's, constantly have to find guests and get it recorded and all that. But I enjoy it. So that's how I met you. I met you on LinkedIn, and we got to know each other better on the podcast, and it's allowed me to really get to know lawyers all over the country and from all different types of practice areas and law firm sizes and backgrounds, and just learn from them and hopefully provide some insights for the audience.
Well,
it's been really fun.
Well, thank you for doing this. You've been you're in USA Today. You've been in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Law 360. You've been on Yahoo Finance, Atlanta Business Chronicle, Washington Examiner. You've gotten a lot of publicity. You're really good at what you do.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, sometimes the coverage is really more based on the case you're working on and not necessarily what you're doing, right? I've had some cases over the years that for one reason or another, the media got interested in. So that's been sort of fun. I mean, it is sort of fun that you're working on stuff that other people might find interesting.
I was looking at your website this week. Are you in Buckhead?
Yes. Sort of North Buckhead.
Pretty pricey area, Buckhead, Jonathan.
It is, yeah.
But it's Atlanta. So, I guess it's not. To me, being a poor boy from Birmingham, Buckhead is like going to the kingdom. Buckhead is pricey, and it's also, is it still dangerous? Have they decided to get a police department in Buckhead?
Yes. So they're really, I'm sure there's theft every day, but the stuff we were hearing a couple of years ago, I have not heard any of that lately. So I don't feel any danger at any time. So now there's parts of Atlanta I would not go to for sure, especially after dark. But Buckhead is not one of them.
I don't know. Jonathan, I run the Peachtree Road Race every year on the 4th of July. Honest to goodness, the night before, just walking around Buckhead, Lenox Square, that area, we go to the Italian place down the street. I can't think of the name of it right now. For our carb load before the race. Man, there's some crazy stuff out there on the street.
I bet. Well, I'm not out there late like you are, Jeff.
Well, I'm not out there late. I mean, I got to get up early to run, but have you ever done the Peachtree Road Race?
I've never done it. That's never done it. I know people who've done it since they were kids every year, but I've never done it. It's good for you, man. It's hot in July or when that race is, and it's a very hilly race too. It's not an easy one.
And there's 50,000 people.
I guess I could. That too. I mean, I guess I could walk it, but I can't really run so much anymore.
You told me you were a runner in high school. Cross country.
I was. Yeah. I really like doing a long distance run. It's really just wearing yourself out and getting stressed out. I really like it, but I've got some back issues. The running sort of aggravates that, so got to be careful.
What's your most challenging case that you can recall, Jonathan?
Well, I probably can't talk too much about the details, but I have had a couple of really challenging law firm breakup cases over the years. I had one, 8 or 10 years ago, and it was just, two trial lawyers fighting each other, and nobody wanted to concede anything. And, most of these fights usually get resolved, but this one we had to do a 5-day arbitration, go all the way to the end, get the arbitrator to decide. And it was one where during a deposition, literally a fight almost broke out. and I think that's the only time that's happened to me. It was videotape too. I wish I had kept it.
You could put it on YouTube and TikTok. Is it just more ego than money?
Oh, yes. It was all ego. I mean, if you looked at the numbers, we should have settled that thing. But, yeah. Now, I've had others where, especially some of these plaintiff trial firms that have, big cases and, maybe not even a huge portfolio, but really, really valuable cases.
Right.
Those are worth fighting over if you cannot come to an agreement. I mean, you're talking millions of dollars. And so sometimes you got to take that a ways until people finally decide they're tired of it.
Yeah. Well, what's your plans for the next year? You said you want to add a couple more lawyers. Is that your goal?
It is. It's interesting. I decided the first probably 4 years of my firm, it was really just me, and I had a contract attorney that helped, and I'd call it more of a lifestyle firm. And it's fine. I did well, but I didn't really want to grow. But about 3 years ago, I decided I wanted to grow. And that's easier said than done, as anybody out there who's done it or tried to do it knows. And so, again, we talked earlier about, it's all about the people. I really, really, really have come to just that is the truth. And it's hard to find good people, and it takes way longer than you think. And so I've sort of come to the conclusion that you should always be recruiting. If you want to grow, you should always be recruiting, because the timing is never exactly lined up when you want it and they want it. So, for me, I've always got, lines out there. So there's, 2 or 3 attorneys that I'm courting at varying levels of, courting, I would call it. But it's, I'm always looking for folks that might be interested, that if the timing's right, could come. So right now, I'm talking loosely, I'll say, to 2 or 3 attorneys, and we'll see if any of that lines up this year. One of the guys that came last year, longtime friend, somebody I worked with years ago, from when I started until he finally came, it was like 2+ years. So it took a long time. And so part of it is adding to people. The other part is, going to get the work. And so also this year, really pushing the marketing as I always do. But, a couple people that I've known for a while, they've really been pushing me. They're like, you got to get a book. You got to publish a book. So that's one of the projects for this year, is to try to get a book published. So stay tuned.
Publish a book. We're always promoting ourselves. Isn't this crazy?
It never ends, right?
24/7. Hey, really fast, what is your advice to young lawyers that are starting this? I know you got good advice. What would be your advice?
Starting a firm, or just starting their career?
Starting a firm.
Okay. Starting a firm. And the first thing, I've got really sort of 2 principles of business development that I think would be sort of the core of everything. So, most people do not know who you are or what you do. And then of the people that do, they forget you. So you got to constantly be in front of people. And for younger lawyers, don't go spend all the money on Google ads and all that stuff. I would say develop the relationship. So meet with other lawyers one-on-one, breakfast, coffee, lunch, dinner, whatever it is, and really work that in to your routine. That's how I built my practice. I know hundreds and maybe thousands of lawyers. That's how they built their practice. And then the question is, lawyers for sure, but then also, depending on your practice area, other professionals or referral sources that can refer you the types of clients you want. Just go meet with those people and never stop. For the rest of your life and career, do that. And, a lot of lawyers are introverts and, like, I don't want to do it. And they're busy. They're behind their desk. They don't have time. You got to make the time. And it's fun. You get to know people. And life is just way better with good friendships and relationships. So it's really, it's not just for the business development. It's really for quality of life. So that's the number one thing I would do, because the opportunities that will come, you just won't even see them coming, but that's where you'll get most of your opportunities. And that could be both, people that work with you, clients that are sent to you, getting on radio shows and podcasts, whatever it is, all these things happen from those relationships. That's the number one piece of advice I'd give.
All right.
I've got a lot, but that's where I'd start.
All right. Jonathan, thank you for doing this at 728 live in Birmingham, Alabama. That is Jonathan Hawkins, law firm GC, business lawyers for lawyers. He can work all over the country, folks. He is a brilliant man. He's a very nice man. Jonathan, I'll talk to you soon. Have a good Saturday, okay?
Thanks, Joe. You too.
All right. Bye.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer, Joe Ingram. If you need confidential legal help off air, reach out to Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Stay tuned for more. Joe will be right back after this break for news and weather on News Radio 105.5 WERC.
Out of many setbacks,
inflation is still hurting people.
This border crisis.
President Trump has been in court.
Emerges one bold comeback.
America is back and open for business.
The greatest comeback of all time.
We will bring prices down. Stop the invasion. Export American energy.
So come back 2, 3, 4 times a day.
The greatest comeback of all time.
And hear America's comeback. News Radio 105.5 WERC.
A name change in state government. Effective tomorrow, the Alabama Department of Labor officially becomes the Department of Workforce. Governor Ivey says Alabama is attracting significant business investments and new jobs. She says we are helping our existing companies grow, and it's imperative that we prepare our workforce. Thousands of more federal employees could be coming to Huntsville. FBI Director Kash Patel is pledging to fill 4,000 jobs at Redstone Arsenal if he's confirmed. That would bring the total number of Bureau personnel there to more than 6,000. A state surplus property auction begins tomorrow. You can bid online for items including office furniture, industrial equipment, and vehicles. That auction is being hosted by the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs. Mardi Gras season getting underway on the Gulf Coast. Parades begin on Dauphin Island tomorrow. I'm Jim Faraday.
And this is Birmingham's news, traffic, and weather station, News Radio 105.5 WERC.
A chilly start, but nice weather expected for this Saturday. We'll have sunshine returning, a high of 63, a few clouds mixing in, a low near 43 tonight. Mostly sunny for Groundhog Day tomorrow, a high of 71. Lows near 45 Monday morning, a high of 72. And most of Tuesday looks dry, another warm day. Highs around 72 degrees, a few showers Tuesday night and on Wednesday. I'm WBRC First Alert Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt on your side.
Right now, it's 46 degrees at Birmingham's news, traffic, and weather station. News Radio 105.5 WERC.
News Radio 105.5 WERC. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your news, music, sports, talk, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's lawyer, Joe Ingram. Joe is a 20-year veteran of the Alabama courts, specializing in criminal defense and family law. Call in live with your questions now at 439-9372. That's 439-9372. Or write Joe with your question for the show at questions@joeingramlaw.com. If you need a private legal consultation, email Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Now, welcome back to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram.
All right. It's 7:33. We're back. February 1st, 2025. WERC. 205-439-9372. 205-439-WERC. You can email the show, questions@joeingramlaw.com, questions@joeingramlaw.com. If you have questions you want to take off the air that are confidential, you can call my office, 205-335-2640, 206-5690. And we'll be glad to talk with you this week about your case. If we need to have a consult, we'll do that. We can even do Zoom consults if you're out of state. Shout out, Spy for Rent. They are good investigators, process servers. They're good at investigating divorce cases if you need them. Mr. Hammock, Corey, you're doing God's work. We love you. Okay, we talked about national news. We've talked about local news. We've had two great guests this morning. We had a plaintiff personal injury lawyer from North Alabama, Hunter Garnett. He cares as much about his people that he serves and the people in his office as he does his profession. Then we had a brilliant lawyer from Atlanta, Georgia, in Buckhead, Jonathan Hawkins, that does law firms for lawyers, breakups, niche market, brilliant man. Thank you, Jonathan, for being our guest this morning. So it's 7:35. I had somebody send me a question the other day about alimony. Well, alimony is based on a number of factors. Length of marriage, income of the parties, disparity of incomes of the parties, who's the breadwinner, who's not, length of the marriage. Is there any bad conduct in the marriage? And what is it going to keep you in the lifestyle you're accustomed to after the marriage? Those are all important questions. Those fall into categories of people that are business owners, mom and pop businesses that do really well. Most businesses in America are small businesses. They're not all Fortune 500 companies anymore. Your spouse may be a professional. Your spouse may be an engineer, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, nurse practitioner, dentist. All these people make really good money. You may be the stay-at-home spouse, take care of the children, the wives, the kids. Your spouse leaves you. How am I going to survive? How am I going to raise my children? How am I going to carry on the lifestyle I'm accustomed to? You may live in Vestavia, Mountain Brook, Homewood, Pelham, Alabaster, Greystone, Shoal Creek. You could live in a lot of places in Alabama. I did a divorce about 20 years ago. The husband and dad own a construction business. Not only did they own a construction business, they had a building supply business. So they supplied their own construction company with the tools and the equipment to build the houses. They were double dipping on their taxes. Wife would stay at home with the kiddies. Husband was having an affair. He thought he was going to run out on her. He said, I'm just a salary for my dad. In fact, he shut down for a year and a half. He thought, I just won't build a house for 2 years. Okay, great. Good for you. It's a good thing I have an accounting background. It's a good thing we went and did accounting work. It's a good thing we went and got the tax returns. Oh, don't you own that business supply business with your dad and your uncle? Oh, yeah, that's just a little business. No, it's not. It's a cash cow. You're all drawing quarterly, yearly dividends from the supply business. All that thing is not worth anything. Really? We had it evaluated. The supply business was gold because not only did it serve them, it served all the other contractors in Shelby County as well. After the divorce that we settled right before we walked in the courtroom in front of the judge, the divorce we settled well. Then I turned around and I said, you know what? We want your dividends in the supply business. Okay, you can have them. It's not much a year. It's only, $50,000 a year is my share. Okay, it's not worth a lot. I bet it's worth a lot to you to buy it back for the whole company. After the divorce, we sold her shares back to the family for about $450,000 to put the family tree back together. She did quite well in that divorce case. That's just the kind of divorces we do every day. That if you don't get it on the front end, you'll never get it on the back end. So you invest a little money in really good divorce lawyers to get you what you rightly deserve in your case every day. That's what we do. Do not pinch pennies when you're going through a divorce, because you're going to look back in a year from now and you're going to say, I made a bad decision. Joe told me I made a bad decision. I should have listened to Joe. Now I'm out of money. So alimony is really important in a divorce case for the next 20 or 30 years. Sometimes it's alimony and gross. Sometimes it's periodic alimony where you draw a check. Sometimes it's alimony over 5 years, rehabilitative alimony. You pay your spouse to go back to school to get re-educated, to support themselves, so they're not on your nickel and dime the rest of your life. There's all kinds of ways to carve up the family nest egg. That's just a couple of ways to talk about alimony. So at 7:40 in the morning, it's February 1st, 2025. We've had two great guests. This is the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, Birmingham's lawyer, the road running street lawyer, here for you to talk about any issue that you may have if you need to call the station. We're live, 205-439-9372, 205-439-WERC. You can always email the show, questions@joeingramlaw.com, questions@joeingramlaw.com. You can call our office this week. Somebody called us about an expungement off the air up in Blount County. Please call us. We'll help you. 205-335-2640, 205-335-2640, or 205-506-5590, 205-506-5590. You can talk to my office. We will have a brief interview with you. Then we may have a consult. Then we may get you in for a meeting. We may even do a Zoom consultation and help you with your case. And we've had a lot of criminal cases this week, both good, bad, and ugly for me, depending on how you slice it. President Trump and his ICE detainers are making people scared to open the doors. That's not what it's about, folks. They're going after the people that have committed serious, heinous crimes, multiple crimes against people. They're trying to get them out of this country. That's the people they're detaining and trying to get away, not just the average person. Somebody sent us a question. We'll talk about that in a minute. So those are the people they're going after. I've had several cases this week where I had the case, people put the money up for the bond, and then the jailer says, you're not getting them out. There's an ICE hold on them. Nobody's getting them out. They're going into INS custody. There's nothing you can do about that, folks. Doesn't matter how much money you put up. They're not getting out of jail. But you'd rather have your case in federal court than state court. I can tell you that any day of the week. It's quicker, it's faster, it's cleaner, it's sterile. The train runs on time in federal court every day. So, just to recap, Governor Kay Ivey is going to have her speech this week, the state of the state. Kay Ivey has done a wonderful job as a governor. After some of the carnage we've had for governors in this state, she's run a clean office, clean way. She has stayed in the background. She's let the professionals run the state. We are trying to grow and be a progressive state. We're getting things right, still doing a lot of things wrong. I don't care about your politics. We need a lottery. Almost every state in the country has a lottery. Our money's leaving this state every day. Don't tell me it's about the poor people giving their money away. They're taking their money to Georgia, Mississippi, Florida. The money's still leaving the state. You can't educate, you can't Biblegate people taking their money out of the state. Leave it here. Let us make the money. Invest in our schools, infrastructure, highways, for all of us. So simple. And quit taxing food grocery items. When I go to Florida, Santa Rosa Beach, we stock up on groceries because there's no tax. It's simple. Those are the people that are hurting more. People are hurting out there. People are trying to feed their family. People shouldn't be paying tax on bread, cereal, milk, Pop-Tarts, eggs, butter, cheese, the staples to feed their family. Don't understand that. President Trump has come out and made one really good move this week. He's talking about not making people pay tax on tips. I kind of see that if you work for tips. I also see the fact that the IRS says gross income is all income. That's a tough issue. If you've ever worked for tips, you understand that. Tips are hard. So that's a tough issue to talk about. You could talk about either side of that subject. But you never know. Kudos to Senator Katie Britt and the Lincoln-Riley Act this week that passed legislation. If you didn't notice this week, Selena Gomez was crying, talking about, they're leaving the country. They're leaving the country. What about the people that were murdered? What about those people? Are you crying for those victims? There are laws for thee and there are laws for me. There's always two sets of laws in this country until you're a victim of a crime. And I'm a defense lawyer. I've also been a victim of a crime. So I can speak from both sides of the coin with some understanding. I don't understand that. I don't understand it. The Grammys are this week, and the Super Bowl's coming up. Who you like? Eagles? I don't know. Chiefs? Depends on who you like. I don't have a dog in the fight. I hadn't liked professional football. Grammys? You get a lot of swag just for showing up and presenting on the Grammys. What a swag bag. You get Rolexes. You get purses. You get all kinds of crazy gifts just to show up and hand out an award. What a job. When you get to the top of the food chain, people pay you to show up. You don't pay to show up. People just pay you to show up in this world. It's backwards. It's always backwards. That's part of life. What's up is down is up. The grass is never greener on the other side. I hope we get a verdict Monday on that capital murder case from River Chase Galleria. I got to see some of the closing arguments the other day. Really good arguments from both counsel. I think it's going to be really hard for the jury to decide that case either way. There were multiple defendants. It's hard to tell who pulled the gun unless you have video of somebody in black and white or color glossy 8x11 photos that pulled the gun. Those are always tough cases. Always tough cases to decide. So we're getting to the bottom of the hour at 7:49 locally here in Birmingham, just off of south side of UAB. New York is 8:49. London's 1:49. Paris is 2:49. Beijing, 9:50. He's going to bed. He's had his pork bellies. Tokyo, 10:50. They're still eating the best beef in the world. I want to go to Tokyo and just have some beef. It's absolutely fabulous if you have it. The days are getting longer as we speak. It's going to be 70 degrees this week. Started working on my yard work, putting out fertilizer, sand, Miracle Grow, hydrangeas, new sod. It's going to be a lovely spring this year, folks. 2025, we are back. If you can't feel the magic in the air from Washington, D.C., you'll never feel it. It's Reagan in America again, 1980, all over again. We are so fortunate to be in the God's greatest country on earth. As Governor John Winthrop said one time, we are the shiny city on the hill. We are. We are surrounded by coastal waters on three sides. Unless you cross the Canadian border, which they're doing, or the Mexican border, which we're trying to stop. We're the safest country. We were the safest country on the planet because of that. That's what America is all about, being the shiny city on the hill. And we are, and we will be again, and we've always been that shiny city on the hill. The best and the brightest support us. The best and the brightest serve us. Thank you for our American troops. So this is the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, live, WERC, 7:51. In about 12 minutes, I'll be on Mountain Brook Parkway for my run. I'm going to run 10 miles today. I got my goo, got my Gatorade. I'm excited. Shirt and shoes, ready to go, ready to crank it out. So, if you have a question, if you have a call this week, call the office, 205-335-2640, 205-506-5590. We've had some really good guests this week. We have great guests coming in the next few weeks. We've got them lined up for you folks. Always provide feedback to the show. We do take it. We know it's noteworthy. We're trying to grow this show every week and give you the best advice and the best professionals that you can hear from to help you in your daily life to live a better life for you and your family every day. That is why we do this show. We do this show for free. It's fun. It's exciting. It gets me up at 4 a.m. Just start earlier on Saturday than most days. We have a great week coming up. We have great weather. We are so fortunate to be in this country we're in. Just to talk a bit about some of the news this week, I think Tulsi Gabbard gets confirmed this week. We got Kristi Noem this last week. We got the CIA, Johnny Ratcliffe, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. He's got the greatest job on earth. He's cleaning house. He told General Milley, we're taking away your security detail. We're taking away your top security clearance. We're going to demote you. How he ever became chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is unbelievable. Unbelievable. But I think we're going to find some new generals that care about this country, that are patriots, that want to support us, protect us, defend us, so we can sleep at night. Who has been defending us for the last 4 years, protecting us at night? Who's taking the calls? Nobody. So at 7:53, we're at the bottom of the hour. We've enjoyed you being a part of our guest. We've enjoyed doing this show with you. We'll be back next week with a live show. Next week, I think we're going to have a criminal defense lawyer, and I think we're going to have a divorce lawyer. We got about 3 minutes to go. This is the final word of the week for me. This is my motivational speech from a friend of mine. Someone once told me, you got to eat the dream. You got to sleep the dream. You have to dream the dream. You have to see it when nobody else sees it. You have to feel it when it's not tangible or foreseeable by you or anyone alone in the crowd. You got to be possessed with the dream, day in, day out, every day. When you get up, go to work, school, gym, running, whatever you want to accomplish, attack it with a passion and a purpose. You got to have a reason for why you do what you do, why you need to do it. Why you wake up, just say what you need to do and go do it for you and your family, and you owe no one an explanation. Dedication beats perfection every time. Dedication beats perfection every time. You know, when you get up and you look in yourself in the mirror and you shave or you put your makeup on, and you say to yourself, I'm only giving 50%. Well, you get up at 4 o'clock, so you're doing something very effective. That's not saying I've got to get these things to happen today. Consistency beats perfection every time. Say, I'm going to fly a different creature now. I'm going to be a different creature now. I'm going to give myself a chance in life for my legacy, for my family tree. I must achieve. I will not quit my journey, my dream, my destiny. So go dream it. Go live it. Go do it. Now you're motivated for the week. Go be the best you can for you, for your family, every day, every way, for your future. That is the final word of the week with the Legal Lowdown live with Joe Ingram, Birmingham's lawyer. The road running street lawyer here for you every Saturday to deal with your issues. It's been a great Saturday with you again. We hope you listen to the show. We hope you find it funny, informative, witty, educational. I love doing this with you. We get to do this for the entire year. We'll be with you. And you can always call us off the air, 205-335-2640, 205-506-5590 to handle your cases. Have a great Saturday, folks. Make the best of it. This is God's country. We're living the dream every day, every way. If you think you have problems, we don't have problems. There are others that have a lot worse problems than us, I can assure you. So go enjoy your Saturday. Get the kids out. Go play basketball. Watch the kids. Watch the cars. Watch the dog. Do some landscape work. Go run. We enjoyed it, folks. We'll see you next week. Have a good Saturday. I got to go run. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Legal Lowdown with Birmingham's own Joe Ingram of Ingram Law. Don't forget to follow Joe's Legal Lowdown podcast on iHeart. If you need a private legal consultation, reach out to Joe on his website, joeingramlaw.com. Tune in again next Saturday at 6 a.m. for the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, exclusively on News Radio 105.5 WERC.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by any other lawyer.